And I'm going to give you a little bit of a thread, and you can leap off from there because you're the one with the degree. I'm the one who's just listened to a lot of podcasts.
Look, I mean, arguably the past part of the degree was just that anyway.
Whatever works.
Hello and welcome to The Big Con, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and simplifying the world of strategy, exploring its impact on business and individuals who've either harnessed it for success or perhaps missed the mark. I'm Emily, Harvard degree graduate.
And I am Dale, big business nerd, and for this episode, strategy nerd.
And we are bringing you in on the con, sharing the valuable lessons from both the failures and triumphs of those who've come before us. Okay, Dale, we're doing something different with you today.
Kind of. Because, listeners, you know what's wild about being a strategy nerd? I spend my days analysing business cases, but my nights, well, most Friday nights this year, I've been playing Fortnite. That's right, screaming at little kids and telling them that I've won. So we call it Fortnite Fridays. And by the time this episode releases, I'll be well on my way to Call of Duty Prestige. And Em, I know you're a fiend for your Nintendo Switch and have been taking to playing Pokemon on family trips back in your day.
We pick a family game on the Switch to play over Christmas. So we just put it up on the TV and we usually play horror games or murder mystery games because we all play it together, one person's on the controls. So yeah, big gaming family.
It brings people together. And I want to look at the gaming greats today, particularly as it is in 2024. So we're going to be exploring a $260 billion industry that has more players than the population of China. That's right, 3.22 billion gamers worldwide. And at its heart, there is a $75 billion console war that has been raging for decades. And to be honest, there is no clear winner in sight. I'm talking Nintendo, Microsoft's Xbox, and Sony's PlayStation, and the three very, very different approaches to how they run their business. So I'm going to run through their approach and the briefest of histories for context, and I'd love for you to put that fancy Harvard qualification to use and diagnose the strategy that these guys are using and where their potential perils may be. I've got a few in the back of my pocket.
All right.
Let's talk about our contenders. Nintendo, the Disney of gaming and home to some of the most recognized IP. We've got your Marios, your Zeldas, and plenty of other family-friendly content. Whilst others chase those really photorealistic graphics, Nintendo is playing an entirely different game. Innovation over raw power. Family-friendly over hardcore. Creating experiences that you literally cannot get anywhere else. Nintendo is the definition of zigging while everyone else is zagging. Think the Game Boy, the Wii, and one of the most popular consoles of all time, the Nintendo Switch.
Well, I love the Switch because it can be a handheld console and in the TV.
And plugged
I
into
think
the
that's
TV.
great. Yeah,
It's one of their points of differentiation. Whilst Nintendo is busy making games your mum could play, Sony is creating a gaming experience that makes purchasing that $3,000 TV worthwhile. Sony's the HBO of gaming. The PlayStation brand is about delivering an absolute premium console gaming experiences, no compromises, no shortcuts. The focus for Sony is cutting-edge technology and, for a long time, exclusivity. Premium, AAA, blockbuster gaming experiences you could only experience on the PlayStation. Xbox. Their strategy is the one I find probably the most interesting in all of this. They kind of turn up to the console knife fight with a checkbook. Microsoft is a tech giant, and they spent 20 years and billions of dollars to learn they're probably playing the wrong game entirely. They tried a few things. They once tried to land in between Nintendo and PlayStation. They endeavored to kind of capture that family market, but then also delivered a comparative hardware experience to PlayStation. And if I'm honest, their strategy kind of smells like an MBA exercise in differentiation of where can we fit in? Where's our niche? But it's only recently that they've doubled down on an ecosystem approach, prioritizing bringing Xbox games to more people through their Game Pass products. Think Netflix, but for games. It's classic Microsoft. It's the same way they won the PC wars, not by selling computers, but by getting their software absolutely everywhere. Now, Em, I know Big Con Podcast, we used to go back to the history, and I'm not going to go too far back, but I do want to highlight the rivalry and contention that has really inflated the console wars and something that people are very passionate about. So I'm going to set the scene. It's 1991. I wasn't born yet, but the Consumer Electronics Show is live and Sony and Nintendo are about to announce a partnership, announcing a CD-ROM add-on for the Nintendo. So set that Sony comes out at their press conference the night before and announces the partnership, but Nintendo pulls a classic Bowser move and instead announces a partnership with Sony's arch rival, Philips. salacious.
What?
I know. Sony see red. And whilst I doubt that this was the single motivating factor to launch the Sony PlayStation, I'm sure there's a little bit of vengeance that's discussed behind closed doors. To be honest, it's a bit of an odd move. Nintendo. To put it in context, they're bringing in about $4 billion in revenue around this time, and they're poking a $38 billion bear. So, a bit odd. But going it their own way has been the narrative strategy for Nintendo for so long. Something that's really worked for a little gaming company that could. They currently have a market cap of roughly 70 billion US dollars, so they're doing okay. Nintendo are known for famously releasing consoles that seem ridiculously underpowered in comparison to where the market's at, but in seemingly losing the hardware arms race, it gives Nintendo a bit of an advantage and a really excellent niche. Nintendo hardware is often at a far more attractive price point than your Sony and your Xbox offerings, and it contributes again to that kind of family-friendly brand. It also means the gaming experiences are unique. They prioritize fun, engaging gaming adventures with like beautiful art style versus the lifelike graphics that you might see on a PC, a PlayStation, or an Xbox. This extends to the games and the first-party franchises you'll usually see on a Nintendo device. So your Pokemons, your Mario Karts, and your Super Smash Brothers, and I know you love your Fire Emblems, there's a Disney-like quality to Nintendo. Parents know that they can offer a Nintendo first-party experience and it's mostly going to be fun and G-rated-ish. There's even stories of Nintendo censoring blood in infamously violent Mortal Kombat games. I'm going to touch on third parties a little bit more on Nintendo after the break. I think this is one of the things that they have probably misstepped on because censoring blood is just the tip of the iceberg in the third-party words. Sony and Xbox deliver very similar hardware experiences, and they always have. It's a box of a certain shape from your PlayStations, your Xbox, and a TV, versus Nintendo, who live and breathe innovation in the hardware that they deliver. Remember the Nintendo Wii? It was a motion control focused console and it brought families together. They were playing tennis or bowling. Nintendo Switch, you've called it out. It's a console that can be played using a TV and a handhold, meaning the TV isn't always taken up. So mum can watch the news and the kids can still sit there and game, or they can use it together in family gaming experiences. Even putting two screens on their portable device, the Game Boy, was absolutely ingenious. Nintendo DS, second best-selling console ever. Of note, Nintendo Switch has just gone to be the third best-selling console of all time, surpassing the PlayStation 4. It's about to take the top spot from the DS. Emily, any guesses on the best-selling console with 154 million units?
God, not the Nintendo 64.
No, not the Nintendo 64.
That was the best. No.
The PlayStation 2 was the best-selling console. And I think in terms of, there's a little bit going on there. Similarly with the Switch has been on the market for a long time. And so when you're on the market for a long time, you're actually going to sell more units, and we're particularly not releasing new iterations. Similarly with the PS2. But it also was a very good gaming console in that it hit that price point perfectly, delivered experiences, and there was a lot of that time where people were buying TVs for gaming experiences. Yeah. Let's talk Sony. I'm going to be honest. I'm a Sony fanboy. And the one thing they really have going for them is their exclusives. When it comes to gaming, Sony delivers a premium entertainment experience and one that is the best. It looks the best. The storytelling is amazing and the hardware experience is often market leading. This drives consumer demand. It means that people want to play online with their friends. So Sony, their robust online product offering, they get to profit off that. For Sony, we have a cutting-edge franchises like God of War, Uncharted, and Last of Us, content that has spawned movies and TV shows. That's how beloved it is. Sony has really doubled down on being the cutting edge, and they're delivering the best-in-class virtual reality experiences. They've leveraged their first-party offerings. But for Sony, they probably failed to grow their audience beyond the high-end consumer and casual gamers, something that the aforementioned PlayStation 2 is really able to do. This probably started for them with the PlayStation 3. It was a console that was launched with an absurd price point. Roughly 900 Australian dollars in 2006, it really wasn't cheap. It pitched a really premium gaming experience and highlighted it for who it was for. It wasn't for a casual gamer at that point. And PlayStation 5 has followed a similar space. Let's switch into the Xbox, because with the PlayStation 3, and their really high price point, it opened up a bit of a spot in the market for the Xbox 360, which is Microsoft's second console this time. Microsoft had already kind of tiptoed into the console world with their first Xbox platform, a moderate success, but it was no doubt that Microsoft was very late to the party, and building up that brand loyalty and IP was going to be really hard. Sure, they had really good success with things like Halo, but it's actually hard to name another Xbox exclusive that's a household name. I mean, Sony had the exclusive rights to Spider-Man, for instance, which we've covered in our Marvel episode.
Mm.
So we've got the far too expensive PlayStation 3. The Xbox 360 becomes a really suitable alternative for the average gamer.
What was it selling for?
Less. I don't know.
Okay.
It seemed comparatively...
Just trying to get my head around it.
Not $900. From memory, I think I picked up a 360 for $600 or even $799 at the time.
Yeah.
So very,
and
very...
then the Switch is a couple of $100, so it's even.
Correct. And even the Wii at the time, so the Wii was the comparative console, and that was $400. And so from memory, it was $400, $550, and the PS3 was always at the top end.
Yeah.
We're talking Australian dollars here. Although the unfortunate thing is that Microsoft squandered this lead. And their subsequent products, the really oddly named Xbox One, which was their third Xbox, both poorly named, and it prioritized being a TV or a media device rather than a premium gaming experience, which is where Sony's console of the generation took over, the PS4, and it kind of reclaimed that niche. Which leads us to now. There's a benefit to being owned by the second biggest company by market cap in the world. You've got a giant, giant checkbook and fat stacks of money. So Microsoft decided, what if we just bought everyone else? Let's not build IP. Let's just buy it. And in a record-breaking deal, Microsoft acquired Activision for roughly $100 million, giving them Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and countless other premium gaming experiences. Sony unsurprisingly tried to stop this, shouting anti-competitive, but in doing so, the court case revealed Xbox's actual plan, getting their games everywhere, and charging people a subscription to pay them. Selling game consoles, it's got a ceiling, and consoles have a history of selling at a loss or barely breaking even. There's a famous story of I think it's the PlayStation 5, only recently broke even in terms of what they're selling. The profits come from the ancillary services, so you're going to actually make money from the games and the online services. Microsoft, at its core, it's a software company. They've had some success with the laptop product Surface, and sure, the Xbox on paper is a success in terms of its selling, but software, cloud storage, and being a product that can work on a variety of different devices, think Windows and enemy of the show Microsoft Word, that is Microsoft, it really sticks. So Microsoft are doubling down. Xbox exclusives have started appearing on PlayStation, and the barrier for entry to accessing the Xbox catalog is so small now that you can use it on your average phone. You can literally have a premium Xbox experience on a phone or any smart TV bought in the last 4 years. It's a $12 subscription to access things that used to have a big high barrier to entry, namely buying that console. So Em, I've given you the quickest of roundups. Let's take a really quick breather, drop into a Fortnite lobby, come back and diagnose if there's a standard strategy or a variety of strategy that these guys are following, and if there's any missteps you may see in their future. But we are back. Hope you guys have unpaused your game and you've won a crown in Fortnite and/or tearing up that COD lobby. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a thread, and you can leap up from there because you're the one with the degree. I'm the one who's just studies a lot of blogs and listened to a lot of podcasts.
Arguably, the past part of the degree was just that anyway.
Whatever works. Nintendo. Their whole strategy, power is overrated. Coincidentally, the same thing that I tell myself when I'm at the gym struggling to do push-ups. Because the thing with Nintendo is the experiences that they offer are great. But a criticism that's often been lobbed their way is that a lot of the good Nintendo experiences are owned by Nintendo. So your Marios, your Zeldas, and everything else. And third parties have actually found it really hard to deliver comparative gaming experiences on the Nintendo console. Sometimes the results are quite hilarious because the gaming hardware that Nintendo has is so underpowered that they have to drop the quality back so far that things look very amusing compared to what you're seeing on a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox. The gaming industry has for a long time had two components. You've got the hardware and you've got the software. And third parties play a really integral part in the console wars. These are the companies like Electronic Arts and Ubisoft and plenty more that don't actually sell hardware, but they make premium video game experiences for Xbox and Sony. And to be honest, for the most part, have given up making it for Nintendo because the experience is usually useless for gamers or it costs too much to create a subpar gaming experience. So, Em, can Nintendo go it alone for this long? Is this something where the strategy goes on, or am I missing something here?
I think there's definitely, obviously you alluded to this, there's some IP wars going on here. And I think like the reason I play Nintendo consoles is because they have Pokemon, period.
Mhm.
Like, and I can't afford, I'm not
100%.
big enough gamer to buy multiple consoles. It's not a good use and investment of my money.
I sold my Nintendo and then spent a good amount of time ignoring Pokemon content because I was justifying to myself that, "Oh, I don't really care about Pokemon." Then I had a kid and had to buy them a Switch because baby's
Obviously,
really good at playing Switch, and I was like, "Yes, I get to play Pokemon again." I mean, me and my child get to play Pokemon
get to
again.
play Pokemon. So I think IP really absolutely plays into it. And people love Mario and, it's so iconic. It's like one of the most iconic games ever. PlayStation, obviously, we're going for more of the pop culture IP, so with the Spider-Mans and stuff, but also making their own games and making it exclusive and all of that. But then now, obviously, that's being threatened by Microsoft buying up a whole bunch of IP so that PlayStation can't use it. So what's happening here is like Nintendo's definitely sitting pretty in terms of the IP war space because
Mhm.
no one's trying to claim Mario or Pokemon. That's Nintendo. It's not just IP wars, I would say, that we're going for here because, there are a bunch, like you say, there are a bunch of third party games that do get released on multiple gaming consoles in different.
Assassin's Creed,
Yeah.
Watch Dogs. I'm trying to think of some other
Well, there's
ones. You've
that
got all the
Harry Potter
sporting
game.
Harry Potter game, and again, they had to
Yeah.
release a subpar. Although I'll give them
One
full
on
credit, they did pretty
Switch.
well. They had to release a subpar Switch experience that took them an extra year of development almost.
But let me just say this. I don't care about the subpar stuff that other people do. What I want to do is I want to sort of take this and I want to move it and compare it with a different industry. And I want to look at cars. You have people that love cars. They want to have the engine roaring. They want to have an amazing something. I don't know. It's not me. So
4 wheels, maybe more wheels. That's
maybe more wheels, maybe 4 doors, maybe 2 doors. Maybe they want doors that go up. Like people have different things that they want to get out of cars. So there might be some person who is like, I want the Porsche. I want the Rolls Royce. I want the, creme de la creme of cars. And I'm going to pay my money to get that because that is what I want. Then you have people like me who are like, does it play my music? Can I get Google? Are the seats comfortable? And is it fuel efficient? And does it drive?
which category do you think I fit into?
I feel like in the middle somewhere.
I just want more screens. That's all I want.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
like
You want
if
tech.
I want
People want
tech.
tech. Everyone uses cars, or a lot of people use cars. Not everyone, but a lot of people use cars. And a lot of people in their adult years own a car. But not everyone is looking for the same thing. I think that there is space for you to have a BMW and a Toyota. I think there's opportunity there. And
Mhm.
so I think the reason why BMW does so well is because they do not compromise on the fact that they're a premium offering. And that's the same with, and like Volkswagen has the Porsche and it has the Golf, which is more accessible. So they lean into those markets knowing that there is a customer out there who wants the thing that they sell. So
Yeah.
taking it back to these gaming consoles, there is always going to be someone who needs the best graphics, who wants the best kind of user experience and all of that. And then there's going to be someone who just wants to play Pokemon and they don't care about the number of pixels. I think that there's really space for these consoles to really narrow into what their market is. I would argue Nintendo does have broader appeal. I'm definitely biased, but I
Yeah.
would argue it has broader appeal because there's also something that comes in to the case these days now that we have internet, and that's collaborative play. So whose friend has what console, and so what games can we play together?
Mhm.
And so accessibility then becomes an issue because not everyone's spending $900 on a
It's
console.
that barrier to entry is massive.
100%. And so if you have a bunch of gaming professionals who all have PlayStations, that still works. But if you have like family play or you just like a casual gamer, you're not going to want to spend that money, and you're going to want to spend a couple of $100 on a Switch and play Mario Party with your friends. So
I think in terms of
where,
the multiplayer, what you're talking about there is because, like, I'll put my hand up and say that the PlayStation and Xbox Online multiplayer experience is leading class. It's something Nintendo's really struggled to do. But then Nintendo, what they have done is make sure that when you have a single console, that people in your immediate vicinity can play without an online internet connection. Sure, they have to have an
yes,
online offering, but it's like, cool, should we play this together as a family versus I'm going to go sit there and play that with my mates who are in another country or in another state or a long
yeah.
way away because it's my console and I need it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that it is very, very different and unique experiences.
And I think that there's space for both is my argument. So I think where they could get into trouble is if they do try to compete in, like, I don't think Nintendo should go and make their graphics incredible, like, and focus on that. That's not their appeal. And I don't think PlayStation should try and be cheap. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think they should change. I think they should really, really understand where their strengths are and the weaknesses of their competitors. And I think that there's space for both. I don't know enough about the Xbox. Honestly, I don't know much about, I know about Microsoft and what they're deciding to do, but I don't know enough about
I
them
think
in
long
the
term,
gaming world.
Xbox leaves the hardware market. And so I think
Yeah.
that's a really interesting thing to go, okay, if the console wars become just like, do we see a world in the future where PlayStation is releasing something? Or is it this where we're locking onto our TV or putting on our smart headset and
Yeah.
logging into the servers in the clouds far away, which again would democratize it even further. And Xbox have a clear lead here in terms of they've done the thing around, okay, what have we got here? We have huge amounts of server farms and huge amounts of software and huge amounts of infrastructure. Let's leverage that. And I wonder if that's where they leap ahead. The other comment I'll make is I think you're entirely right. And I'll look at a game that PlayStation recently released. So let's look at the software. They released a very family-friendly platforming title, something that you usually see on a Nintendo. In fact, a lot of people compare it to, this is the most fun platform experiences since I played the most recent Mario. It's called Astropod. But interestingly, what they did in this space was they made it a nostalgia fest because they probably recognize who's playing the PlayStation console, and it's not your little kids. It's older people who want to go back and testing. So they littered their IP right through this game. So they had things from your God of War, your Spider-Mans, everything else. And so even older, more mature gamers are getting a premium gaming experience, but they're also getting that nostalgia hit as well, that I found very interesting. Anything else, Em?
Yeah, so there's one thing that I want to talk to, which is like about if you are in a competitive, it's this or that kind of industry, because people, like, unless you're really into gaming, it's not often that households have more than one console like that.
Mm.
So it's a this or that kind of market. Something that I think plays really heavily into that is customer care. I've not had to reach out to Nintendo with a customer care issue, which is good, a good sign.
Correct.
But I don't know. So I don't know what their customer care looks like. Do you know anything about how they treat their customer care?
I don't know about Nintendo space, but I know PlayStation is quite in tune with their community. There's probably an illusion that Nintendo is probably safer in that space. And actually, I personally haven't had experience as well, but I know for instance, with PlayStation, they're very known to be like, oh, we released a bad gaming experience. We are going to refund everyone. They make quite good in-tune decisions with their community. And they've had big missteps. Sony's had big hacks and they completely crippled their PlayStation service over a holiday period and things like that. No customer data was lost, but much of Sony's stuff was impacted. And so I think they have been really in tune with what's happening with their customers and what's happening out there and how to respond to that. Whereas someone like an Xbox is a standard Microsoft, they're a monolith. They're just going through and responding based on what's needed to increase their bottom line. But Nintendo does have the appeal of, and I think maybe it comes down to that bottom line in terms of the investment you're making in a Nintendo product is often at a lower point. And so it probably seems like there's less of a gamble there. And so customer experience is less of a less of experience. But as you mentioned, like there's Nintendo Switches that are 7 years old that are still powering through and going fine. So they are making quality products.
I think that will really play into it. I don't think there's a problem at the moment, but I think that that it's like, when Optus went down, like thousands of people en masse just switched to Telstra, know? So I think it's like one of those things that there could be a risk there. But aside from that, I think there's definitely room for them all.
The thing that I'm really interested about, and particularly your car metaphor made me tweak, or made me go, where did mobile gaming fit into this? In theory, to continue a metaphor.
And to computer gaming, because that's my partner really only games on the computer.
Computer gaming is a niche in itself, and it probably eats into as much market share as your Xbox. And so I think a lot of Xbox, the way that they've started their Game Pass process was being like, cool, you have your Xbox products and you can play everything on Xbox, so you can play on PlayStation. The Xbox is a glorified PC without Windows in it. But for me, I look at mobile gaming in not understanding why it hasn't actually taken a big market share from like a Nintendo, because it is a casual experience. And I guess it is, I may be answering my question here as I go, it is quite solo, although there is a lot of online interactivity in mobile gaming. And so I'm interested in how resilient consoles have been when mobile gaming is at a point now where it is offering premium experiences, it is offering casual experience. It has something for everything. Yeah, they're offering premium experiences on mobile are now available, so you can buy similar things you were able to play on console and get a similar experience that you can on the average phone.
The things that I like about games is like a good story and all that sort of stuff. I just don't see that. Can you do that on mobile?
They have started to do that, but you've answered my question there and going, huh? Is it?
Yeah. And I'm like, I've never heard what? Because the only things that I've seen on games are those like, Candy Crush.
And
those ones where you like,
they're enough to give you a dopamine hit. But they have, I think that's the new thing. Like you can play a premium Call of Duty experience on a mobile or an iPad. You can play the latest Assassin's Creed or Resident Evil 4 on your phone, and you're getting a very comparative experience to what you're getting on Nintendo Wii a couple of years ago. So I think they are trying. I don't feel like it's actually been successful. And to be honest, I played it for a bit and I was like, this is it for me. I'll probably go play it on my PlayStation. But I am interested to see their intention to take over that and how it hasn't. For sure, it contributes to the...
IP would definitely be a factor here. Because I can't play Pokemon on my phone.
You play Pokemon Go. And this is the other thing,
I don't like that.
And similarly with Mario... Nintendo has brought a few products to the phone with limited success. And again, it's not the experience you're getting. It's using the IP, it's using the skin, but it's not giving you the Nintendo experience that you're used to regarding platforms.
Yeah. But it is interesting. And definitely because they are in a tech space, they are going to have to keep an eye to the advancements and what the users are doing and where they're going. And if they're not going onto mobile, which it sounds like they're not, then it's, but keep an eye on it because mobiles might get bigger again. Because I wouldn't want to play on a little screen. I don't like the little screen.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to label their strategies. Nintendo, Blue Ocean strategy. They go for the waters where no one else is.
Yep.
Sony, differentiation through innovation.
Okay, yep.
And Xbox, differentiation through focus. And so their strategy is targeting specific segments. And so gamers who want affordability, accessibility, and variety of game options rather than hardware exclusivity. And I think now that Xbox kind of knows their space, knows what they're doing, it'll be interesting to see that they're always going back to what they're really good at versus competing. They're really owning their niches.
Yeah, interesting. I liked that.
Thanks.
Well, listeners, there you have it. You now understand a little bit more of the con, and we hope that you found your little corner of the market in whatever business strategy you're doing. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Big Con podcast. It not only supports us, but means you will get all the latest episodes straight to your device. Do not keep all the fun to yourself either. Share the con around your mother, your aunt, your best friend's brother, and tell them to check us out on all of their favourite podcast apps. For any further details, head over to our website, thebigconsultingagency.com, and sign up to the mailing list. Bye for now.